Your older dog has recently started barking, howling, or becoming distressed or panicky when you leave. And he was always fine before. He was always this very calm, confident, stable dog. So now you're probably asking yourself, why is this happening now? What is happening? Have I done something wrong? My name is Alex. I'm a professional dog behavior consultant specializing in anxiety in dogs. And so I've prepared this little presentation for you to address the main reasons why separation anxiety can develop in older dogs for the first time. So just remind yourself you haven't done anything wrong. I know we're very good at blaming ourselves. When something unexpected happens, like our dog has always been well, and then suddenly we see him acting more needy, more vulnerable, and we start wondering, if we've done something wrong, if we caused the problem, if we're failing our dog, and none of that is happening. The truth is that when separation anxiety develops for the first time in an older dog, it is often, very, very often, connected to aging. So, as dogs age, their body and brain and even social attachments can change in ways that affect how safe they feel in the world. And we're going to take a look at some examples just now. But first, let me share with you the most common decline that happens with aging and that can lead eventually to anxiety and even to separation anxiety. So, vision and hearing tend to fade with old age. So, your dog may start losing his night vision first. That is usually the first to go. So, he may start bumping into objects at night, especially if you've changed the furniture around and he still has to learn to orient himself. So, vision night vision fades first, and of course, this bumping into objects and disorientation can be scary to him. Hearing also fades; he doesn't hear as well, and this hearing loss can be partial or it can be complete. Quite often, when it's partial, it affects one side, one ear only, which means that a dog can still hear, but he cannot locate where the sound is coming from. Then there's also joint pain and impaired balance and reduced mobility, and all of these changes can affect confidence. Stress tolerance decreases, which means that he may find certain situations more stressful than before, and he can't handle them as well as he did before. And then his or her brain also becomes more easily overwhelmed. So, um, let's look at a couple of situations that can lead to separation anxiety directly. So what happens is, as I mentioned, like bumping into objects at night because night vision is fading, or hearing you call but not being able to locate where you are. These are all things that can make your dog feel more vulnerable and helpless. And another thing that can happen is he may startle more easily because he didn't hear you approach. Let's say he's sleeping and you suddenly approach and touch him, and he may startle because he didn't hear you approach, but he just felt this hand on him, and that can have a startling effect. And so, because of not hearing as well and not seeing as well, he may start to rely more heavily on you for orientation and for safety. And so, if he relies on you a lot more to feel safe, then it stands to reason that when you leave, panic will follow. Now, when it comes to not being able to handle stress the way that they used to. There's quite a few things that are interconnected here. So the brain of an older dog becomes overwhelmed more easily. So when he's young, if he is in a situation where the TV's on and there's a lot of people talking in the room at the same time, plus there's a few children running around, so it's all like very noisy with a lot of stimuli. A young dog, a young dog's brain can filter what's important in that situation, what's important and what isn't, what makes a difference, what doesn't make a difference. And so his brain retains what's relevant to him and discards what isn't relevant to him, which is healthy because imagine if our brain couldn't sort out all the information that it is bombarded with, it would eventually burn out. Now, what happens with an older dog, with the brain of an older dog? When faced with the same situation, like the TV being on and a lot of people talking at the same time and children running around, his brain becomes overwhelmed because he can no longer filter as easily what is relevant from what isn't relevant. So his brain takes everything in, takes all the stimuli in, and that's where the overload and the overwhelm come from. So this overload, this overwhelm can cause stress. And another thing that happens with old age is that the dog takes longer to recover from stress. So when stress accumulates and recovery slows down, then being alone may just simply become the final stressor in a system that is already overloaded. And anxiety, separation anxiety can develop as a result of him not being able to cope with being alone anymore. So you're not to blame for the anxiety that can happen with aging, and you certainly didn't cause your older dog's decline and consequent vulnerability. So the best you can do for him, besides understanding why separation anxiety may have happened now for the first time, the other best thing you can do is what you've always done, which is to love and support and care for them to the best of your ability. And by the way, this topic, this video that I shared with you, this theme is very close to my heart, very dear to my heart, because I have a dog, a female dog. Her name is Alicia, and she's an elderly dog. And this is a photo of her here with my daughter. And above the other photo here on this PowerPoint is also her. And she is still a very like happy, confident dog, but I can see some vulnerability showing up. She wakes up a bit scared sometimes at night, and then if we touch her, if we cuddle her a bit, then she settles down. Her night vision is beginning to fade, and so we have to be careful not to have the room completely dark. Otherwise, she will start pacing, and she will actually walk alongside the wall, like leaning on the wall just to get some orientation. And so I wouldn't say it's heartbreaking, but our heart really goes out to them because we can see the vulnerability happening, but we really are not to blame for any of that. And it becomes easy to understand, or easier to understand, why old dogs become more anxious, because basically they feel like slowly but surely they're losing control of a bunch of things in their life. They don't hear as well, they don't see as well, they don't move as well. They become more needy. They can't handle being separated, being alone. And so it can become a bit too much for them, and it can lead to anxiety. And then, of course, separation anxiety if they become to rely too much on us for safety and for orientation. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, just subscribe to the channel because we'll be putting out a lot more videos handling separation anxiety. That's what we focus on. And so we hope to see you. Bye. Take care.